disruption. So that is another example that I can cite as to why then this directive was also very impossible to implement from the side of the responsible and accountable project manager. I could not, because by that time I was still a responsible and accountable project manager. Now, to comply with something that is going not to be in line with my responsibilities and accountability was not going to be the right thing to do. And it was also talking...
Before we proceed to go further, what specifically stated is that the dockets will be reallocated to appropriate investigative units with the capacity to continue the investigations. Did you know which investigative units this would be? Did you know what he was referring to here?
No, all what I knew was what was written in the letter. There was no additional information or an attachment that tells me that which unit is going to continue. It was just this letter. Hence, then, my interpretation was, if then investigating officer A was busy investigating this docket, then he or she is told to put it down and then take it to the office of the divisional commissioner. And this divisional commissioner look for a suitable unit and an investigating officer who's going to continue with the investigation. According to me, that is contrary to the bolded part of paragraph 3 of the same letter, that these measures must be put in place to ensure the ongoing investigation is not disrupted, because that alone is disruptive.
Okay, continue. I think we're dealing with 146 was addressing what you were saying now. Paragraph 147 of your statement, you also speak about the lack of capacity within existing units to deal with these dockets.
Are we back to the statement?
Sorry, we're back to the statement, yes. We're going between the statement and the letter. So that's paragraph 147.
So, on paragraph 147, to still talking to the measure number 3.4, cross-indexing to the letter, it still explains that the initial reasons for the establishment of the PKTT was the failure of the normal units to effectively investigate these cases. Now, there we are saying, for that reason, that PKTT was formed because of the inability by the existing investigating units and also them being ill-equipped. We were referring that to the methodology applied by the PKTT, that it's totally different from the methodology that will be applied by any unit, investigative units. That commissioners, one maybe can add that the discussion that talks to these dockets, the way they were and are investigated, to be transferred to a normal murder and robbery or whatever name investigation unit will not make sense, because the unit is totally different from a task team. You cannot talk to those two as if one can replace another. The unit of, let me first start with another example. The unit of National Intervention Unit, the combat, it is made up of operatives that have successfully completed the National Intervention training. Only them. No one else can be part of that unit. Same applies to an investigative unit or a murder and robbery unit. It is made up of investigators. Then the task team, the difference is you draw expertise from different units to make a task team. So it will be naive to think that what the task team can do, the unit can also do, because the task team is made up of expertise from different units and expertise. That is what we are trying to stress on that paragraph.
So the effect would have been to revert to the traditional method that you were talking about yesterday of policing and investigating.
That is correct, Commissioner.
So those are the measures that General Sabia was saying you need to put in place, which you felt would have the effect of disrupting the investigations. But then in paragraph 4, there's a second thing that's requested, and that's the closing report. So can you just read the first sentence of paragraph 4, please?
Thank you, Commissioners. The paragraph 4 is a long format of the one-line email that I had received on the 7th of January, which reads, a comprehensive closing report must be submitted by the 16th of January. That is the day I was briefing the Minister on GCI Ops, but the letter then was signed off and sent to me on the 17th. And then I would have to confirm the compliance with the above-mentioned directives, and that report would have been structured according to the next guidelines.
Okay. So the report required you, well, first he says the report must be submitted the day before the letter was sent to you, and he says it must confirm that you have complied with those measures that you were just discussing now, and then that it should contain the following items. Can you just deal with those items that were required from the closing report?
When one went through the requirements of the report, that's when one lost the hope as to, if you want to compile this report, what is it that you need to do? Because the first one talks to the executive summary, where I was expected, or we are expected to give the mandate, purpose, functions, and reasons for disbanding the task team. From the very same me, the project leader, who was not consulted, who do not know why, but now on the report I must give the reasons. Hence, Commissioner, as I say, then it's one of the directives that when you go through and you want to comply, you end up being more confused than before you received it. Because some of the parts, one would have been able to give the mandate, to give the purpose and the functions. But now the last one that says the reasons for disbanding, now how do you marry these conflicting requirements as reflected?
And I suppose the same would apply to the next bullet, which is summary of the key considerations that resulted in the decision to disband the task team. you were not favored with the key considerations.
One might then use the same approach, commissioners, that the senior council is using, that you were not given. But as I've indicated, it starts with you were not even consulted. And in the letter of the 31st, there are no details. And in the email of the 7th, it's worse. Not even the attachment is there. But now, on a long directive of the 17th, a lot is required that one cannot get anywhere, including then the considerations or the reasons that resulted in the decision to disband the task team. One then was forced to ask himself this question, but who decided to disband the task team? Now, why are you looking for reasons from a person who did not decide? Because this letter maybe was having a wrong address. It was supposed to go somewhere else, then mistakenly it was addressed to myself. So it's one of the issues that will make it very difficult to attend to the issues raised in this directive.
So you've given that response in paragraphs 148.1 and 148.2 of your statement. So, but then you give a second criticism in 148.3 of your statement. Can you deal with that?
Yeah, it is some sort of the continuation of the explanation that I was trying to give, that as I was instructed to include the analysis of the PKTT's effectiveness and the impact on crime reduction, with specific reference to the PKTT's mandate. That was supposed to be required before the decision. Now, if I'm going to include it in the closing report, it is not going to make any sense or the reasons thereof, because the decision, if the decision was taken in good faith, the minister will have presumably have already done this analysis that is required in the closing report. That was supposed to be done prior to the decision. That is my view on that point, commissioners.
And then, thank you.
Ms. Hassim, perhaps the witness should read 148.3 and 148.4 into the record. I would actually have loved for him to have read even maybe a couple of other paragraphs before that, but perhaps because we are way past that now, if the general could read 148.3 and 148.4 into the record, please. And even 149, all the way up to 149, please.
Thank you, commissioners. Reading on record from paragraph 148.3, in my affidavit, I state that, secondly, I was instructed to include an analysis of the PKTT's effectiveness and impact on crime reduction, with specific emphasis on the mandate of the PKTT. Once again, if the decision to disband the PKTT was taken in good faith, the minister would presumably have already done this analysis prior to taking the disbandment decision. In his directive, the minister expressly stated that his observation was that further existence of this team is no longer required, nor is it adding any value to policing in South Africa. If the minister did not have any analysis of the PKTT's effectiveness and impact on crime reduction at the time of his decision to disband, he could not, in good faith, have reached the conclusion that the PKTT is no longer required and add no value to the policing in South Africa. Paragraph 148.4, thirdly, one of the more concerning aspects of the proposed report is that it had to include the stakeholder feedback from organizations such as the NPA and State Security Agency in response to the announcement of the disbandment. In other words, when the minister took the decision to disband the PKTT, he apparently did not engage the NPA and SSA on the effects that the disbandment would have on pending prosecutions and the general state and the state security. This was further confirmation for me that the minister had not done the necessary due diligence before he took the decision, the disbandment decision. Paragraph 149. It appears that the minister did not consult with the individuals he ought to have consulted with for purposes of making a decision regarding the disbandment. From my discussions with the National Commissioner at that time, it was clear that he was not consulted by the minister regarding the disbandment.
Thank you, General.
If I may, before you move to another paragraph, General, in that letter from General Sibia and the format of the report, what you should include in the report, under the stakeholder feedback, you've referred to key stakeholders, NPA and SSA, but there's also another sentence there where you were required in the report to summarize any public or media reactions when the disbandment was announced. Did you ever get to understand why you had to do this exercise of finding out what the media and public have to say and why it was necessary information?
Thank you, Commissioner. Other than to sum up that maybe the purpose of this directive was for me to try and clean up the mess that might have been created from the 31st of December, which was impossible. One, the stakeholders have referred to the difficulty that I had from the 31st to explain to the very same stakeholders as to what's happening with this letter. So it was going to be impossible. Same applies to the reaction from the ground as to how was this decision affecting them. What I know from the ground, I was receiving lots of calls from the families of the deceased whose cases were still under investigation. and the families of the deceased whose cases were finalized, who were very disappointed. But that was what was coming to me just as a known project leader by them, as one of the important stakeholders, the families of the deceased on the cases we were working on.
So, General, I take it we can safely assume that you did not comply with this letter of 17 January.
That is correct, Commissioners, even if I wanted to, because of misunderstanding of what was required from me, I did not comply.
But you were, at that point in time, preparing the report, the briefing for the minister, correct?
Very busy, Commissioners, and I was running against time. The letter is coming on the 17th, and I have 2 days now to finalize the report for the 20th. So I was busy with the report.
Okay. So that report, we know is, first of all, Commissioners, it's at SDK 26. It's page 212 of the 213 of the annexures bundle. Now, General, this letter, this report is very detailed. It's 27 pages, and it spends quite a lot of time describing the work of the PKTT, as an overview of the dockets, the progress of the dockets, and the rest of it. Now, we don't need to, subject to questions from the commissioners, we don't really need to examine this in great detail because we've been through it before, and the National Commissioner has also been through this letter. But what is significant in the letter, and it's something that you raise in your statement, is that your view was that there should not be a disbandment of the team.
Yes.
So can I go to paragraph 152 of your statement? So after you explain that the report highlights all of this different aspects of the work of the... Pardon me.
I'm very sorry to interrupt you mid-sentence, Ms. Hassim. Annexure SDK 26, only the cover letter at page 212 is legible. The report itself is illegible for the most part.
My apologies, Chair. I was aware that these copies were not legible and requested that more legible versions be placed in your files. We can
Be
certainly do
replaced,
that.
please. In this other bundle, this is the one with the CJCs, starting CJC 8, does it? I think so. To all the way to CJC 21. It does have a legible report, but may those be sorted out for us, please?
I think what happened,
We
Chair, when
can't, whilst going through the
Sure.
SDKs, then have to go to the CJCs. Thank
Absolutely.
You. Thank you very much.
I think there was confusion in carrying out that. We'll make sure that it's replaced with a legible copy. For now, Chair, may I request that any questions or references to it to use the CJC version.
Thank you.
But
Thank
we
you.
will correct the what page is it on?
Yes, Yes, Ms. Assi.
Sorry, Commissioner Baloy, I was trying to answer your question. I'm not sure which page it's on. You've got it.
I'm told it's CJ's, hang on. SDK 26 in CJC.
In
Found
the
it.
CJC bundle.
Found it.
So, sorry, General, is your copy legible of SDK 26?
Yes, yes, it is. Thank you.
Okay, so in paragraph 151 of your statement, you describe general overview of what it is you addressed in the long report, SDK 26. And then at paragraph 152, can I ask you to just read that paragraph into the record, please?
Reading paragraph 152 to the record, insofar as the report had to include a write-up of the justification for the disbandment of the PKTT, it goes without saying that I could not justify the disbandment. Neither could the National Commissioner. The position has always been that the PKTT had to remain. Therefore, in the report to the Minister, the National Commissioner and I simply stated that the directive of the Minister to disband has been noted and that the initial objective and the directive by the President has been achieved with noticeable decrease of political-related killings in KwaZulu-Natal as a result of PKTT's intervention and execution of its mandate. In other words, we did not agree with the disbandment, but this was a directive for the Minister, and he had directed that this aspect be dealt with in the report.
Okay, so let's just look at that with reference to the report. In your bundle, General, it's at page 237. Commissioners, in your bundles, it would be page 25 of 27. The pagination was probably the same because it was meant to be substituted. So page 237. And it's the bottom of that page, the conclusion. So, General, there in the conclusion, that confirms what you've just said in your statement. Is that correct?
That's correct, Commissioner.
So maybe you could read the first paragraph of the conclusion.
First paragraph of the conclusion on the report of the 22nd, paragraph 3.11. In conclusion, the task team has undeniably achieved and far exceeded the purpose for which it was established. No other task team in South Africa has achieved these successes, nor has been able to investigate and ensure successful prosecution of the perpetrators of politically related matters.
And then you continue in the second paragraph, and that's where you say the directive by the Minister has been noted. And I just want to understand correctly what happens then in the rest of this report, which is now almost near its end.
Yes.
I just want to understand what you were saying. You were saying that you continued to make the proposal that now follows, because that was the request of the Minister to include that in the report.
To include, let me continue. The paragraph starts with the directive by the Minister to disband. The National Task Team has been noted, and the initial objective and the directive by the President has been achieved noticeably, as we say in the conclusion, also in my statement. Then the next paragraph says, the South African Police Service remains responsible for the finalization of those dockets in the possession of the task team, as well as finalization of dockets which are currently before court. The following steps are being taken to wind down the task team without compromising pending investigations or court purposes or court processes.
And then you set out the steps. And I
The
think
winding
it's
down steps
the
then
winding down
flowing
steps.
from the previous paragraph, Commissioner.
Yes. And those steps are also summarized in paragraph 153 of your statement. Is that correct?
That's correct, Commissioner.
And do I understand correctly that what these steps envisaged is that the dockets would remain with the PKTT until they were finalized?
That is correct, Commissioners, as from the first paragraph that says it is the South African Police Service responsibility to finalize all the investigations. So this is how then the process is going to be followed in order to ensure that all the investigations are finalized.
But the SAPS could be any part of the SAPS that can be responsible for the finalization. But what you proposed in those steps is that they must remain with the task team until they are concluded.
Thank you, Commissioners. In the same sentence that says the South African Police remains responsible for the finalization of the dockets in possession of the task team, as well as finalization of the dockets which are currently. So that was introducing the fact that the task team must see its work to the finalization.
Okay,
Is
so
that not Roman 2 that we should be looking at? The first sentence of Roman 2 on the same page 238.
that's correct. And maybe the witness could just read that.
It was also one
Roman 2,
of the advices or recommendations forwarded by the National Commissioner addressing this letter to the Minister as a response of the 31st December letter to say stakeholder engagement to be conducted with other external role players in the task team, especially the National Prosecuting Authority, who have a dedicated capacity of prosecutors working with the team.
It's the Roman numeral 2 that we were referring to. If you can read the first sentence of Roman numeral 2.
On the report.
Yes.
The 128 case dockets which are under investigation and allocated to the National Task Team will be retained by the team and investigations will be finalized. An audit will be done of those dockets that are still under the investigation in order to establish which dockets can be returned to the station of origins or allocated to other investigating units within SAPS.
Okay, so at that point in time, there were still 128 case dockets. They reduced as time went on.
As discussions were ongoing.
Yes.
Yes, Commissioner.
And then in Roman numeral 3, you proposed that no new dockets would be taken by or allocated to the task team.
That's correct.
Then you went on that the dockets that are currently pending at the courts will remain with the task team. And you explained why. The challenges, if you didn't do that, you explain it, and it's there. Maybe you could just read from the middle of Roman numeral 4, new investigating officers.
Yes, the reasons provided under Roman figure 4, talking to the 115 case dockets, will that if they are allocated to the new investigating officers, those new investigating officers that are not familiar with evidence in the docket will make then the investigation to be unsuccessful. And also witnesses will not be willing to cooperate and testify due to lack of trust to the new investigators. As a witness, investigator A takes a statement from you and you move along with the prosecution. Now, in the middle of the case is on trial, that witness now must go on trial and testify. Then a new investigating officer comes and say, let's go. So we were trying to raise that maybe all these were not thought of during, but were going to be raised if there were consultations. Further investigations that are still outstanding and attending to the continuous queries by prosecutors was also going to be negatively affected.
Okay. So this was going to be a very gradual process. It would take quite some time.
Yes.
If you turn over the page to 239, at Roman numeral 7, you speak about the multidisciplinary approach.
6.
Is it, my copy is also not that legible, Chair. Thank you for the correction. It's 6. You talk about a multidisciplinary investigative approach that will be applied. Can you just explain what you are referring to in that paragraph? What is it that you were proposing, you and the National Commissioner?
Thank you, Commissioners. Yesterday, I stated that in all our reports, we are trying to maintain this view because that's what we believe in. Same applied to this report, that we are saying this multidisciplinary investigative approach, which we in short refer to it as analysis-led, more analysts than investigators, and prosecutor-guided investigation that is currently applied by the task team will be adopted. Now, it was the National Commissioner informing the Minister that it will be adopted and used to serve as a benchmark for the realignment of contract killings and organized crime investigations, and further directives will be issued in this regard.
So what do you mean here? Are you saying that the model of the PKTT then would be used as a benchmark? It would be replicated for the purposes of organized crime investigations and contract killing investigations?
Yes, Commissioners. Put directly, one will say the direct meaning of this recommendation is let us retain the methodology and we use it as a transitional process from where we are, especially within the organized crime investigations environments of SAPS. Now, this talks to disband or remove the center of excellency, and then you start afresh. So this, in short, that's what it was trying to say. Say, let's retain, and then we build up from it.
So you'd replicate the...
You say, General, this was to be transitional. Looking at 6, Roman numeral 6, it does not sound as if this was meant to be transitional. I read it to have been intended to be permanent, once implemented, to be permanent. Am I incorrect? Am I misreading it?
The interpretation, thank you, Commissioners, Chair. The interpretation might be right from the chairperson's point of view, but if read as a whole, that paragraph, it starts by explaining the multidisciplinary investigative approach. What is it? And then we are saying that is the approach applied by this team currently. And National Commissioners say this approach will be adopted instead of using transition, will be adopted and used to serve as a benchmark to standardize the investigation of all contract killings as well as violent organized crime.
Thank you, General.
Thank you, Chair. So that report, we come to the end. It's got the signature of the National Commissioner and the date. And then there is a space below it for comments and for signature by the Minister, but there is no signature. I take it that means it was never approved, adopted, or signed by the Minister.
If I may go back to the pressure between the 18th and the 19th, 2 days to come up with a 27-page report that up to now it has not been approved. It's still empty. So that will mean the hard work put during those 28 hours came to nothing because the report is not approved or not signed, or it's.
So what was the response of the Minister to this? Was there any response from the Minister to this letter? Was there a verbal response? Was there some other written response from the Minister?
Thank you, Commissioners. From the compiler's point of view, there was no response. Even after inquiring from the writer, who is the National Commissioner, I got feedback that there was no response up to date.
So the next thing that happened then, according to your statement, is can you tell us what happened then on the 4th of February?
Before you do that, General, let's just finish off on these two documents. Can you explain what appears to be an anomaly? We earlier looked at the email from Brigadier Letoko, where she says to the Deputy National Commissioner, your office is further, this is the email we looked at earlier, on the email of the 7th, I think it is. It says, your office is further requested to submit a close-up report to be submitted on 14 January for NETCOM consideration and sign-off to the Minister. So there's that direction from someone who's sitting in the office of the National Commissioner. And then on the 17th, which is later than the 14th, on the 17th, you then have that document that you were looking at from General Sibia, which tells you what he requires, the information that you're supposed to report on. And then that's on the 17th of January. And then on the 22nd of January, you and the National Commissioner are submitting or completing this report that you were discussing now, which is completely different in content from what the Deputy National Commissioner Sibia required of you in his letter of the 17th. Now, the Letoko email suggests there's an instruction from the National Commissioner. Well, on its terms, it says there's an instruction, but it suggests that it comes from the National Commissioner because it comes from that office, at least on the face of it.
Yes.
And then General Sibia appears to act in accordance, I say appears, on the face of it, by writing to you on the 17th with all of those directions and instructions. But then the National Commissioner works with you to prepare a completely different report. How does one explain this anomaly? Or how do you explain it? Or what is your understanding of what happened that see us having this letter from General Sibia, and then you have a completely different report from the National Commissioner, as if they were not talking to each other?
Thank you, Commissioners. Attempting to explain this anomaly, one will summarize maybe the chain of events as I had given in details, that the email that I received on the 7th, that is talking to the due date of the 13th, I did not do anything because I could not understand. So that is the first part of anomaly from my side, that I receive an email with one line and there is no attachment. I have lots of questions that I'm asking myself, and when I ask those questions from the Deputy National Commissioner, I don't get clear answers as to what must happen. That's anomaly number one. Hence, then I took a decision after making a call to the National Commissioner who was on leave. I took a decision to wait until the 14th when he came back. Indeed, he came back. We had the discussion that I've explained in details, which came up with two resolutions to prepare for the briefing of the minister on the 16th on the issues that I've highlighted on. Then the other anomaly now comes with this directive or letter dated the 17th to me, because the last due date that I was given and it was not met was the 13th on the email. Then it died natural death. That is anomaly, that 13th. Then on the 17th, when I receive this, it gives the previous day as a due date, other than the fact that as we were going through, other than the fact that it was not easy to understand and not easy to, and also the other factor that one has to put that led to this anomaly. On the 14th, during the meeting, I had to share with the National Commissioner my confusion since the 31st of December up to the 7th of January, the one-line email. Then that's when then he said, okay, now me and you are going to work on this. So the first thing, let us prepare the briefing of the minister on the 16th on these separate issues. And then let us also prepare the report for the 20th as a due date.
I'm asking a more direct question. Maybe it wasn't clear, General, and I apologize for that. What I would like to understand is, does it mean, because you worked with the National Commissioner to produce this report of the 22nd of January, does it mean that the National Commissioner had not authorized General Sibia to send you that directive? That's what I'm trying to understand. And because you had been discussing and talking to the National Commissioner, you would know what the position was.
Thank you, Commissioner, for simplifying the question. It's much easier. The response will be exactly that. From the meeting of the 14th, the agreement was we are working with the National Commission, myself and the National Commissioner on this process. Now, when the letter of the 17th came, confusing and contradicting itself as it is, but I did not consider complying with it because I had this other plan and the arrangement and the instructions from a more senior officer.
In short, is it correct, would it be correct to characterize it this way? General Sibia went and did his own thing when he sent you this directive. He didn't have the approval of the National Commissioner.
That's correct.
Would that be accurate?
That's correct.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Beloy. So this was in response to the directive from the Minister that a preliminary report must be provided by the 20th of January. And the directive of the Minister goes on to say the final and closing report must be submitted to the Ministry-Management Executive Committee meeting late January 2025. The date of which will be communicated as soon as possible. And I have two questions. One is, did that meeting take place? And was that final report or any final report prepared?
I am not a member of that forum, but then I can respond like if this was going to be part of the agenda, I was going to be requested to prepare a discussion paper or a report. So based on that, I will say then it did not happen.
Okay, so that was 22nd. The next thing, General, we were then going to 155 of your statement because the next thing that happens is on the 4th of February. And that was when General Sintumule engaged you. Can you just quickly give us a description of what happened on that date?
Then I did not hear anything about this whole process then after the submission of the report to the National Commissioner on the 20th of January. Up until the 4th of February 2025, when then I became aware of a letter, now an instruction from Lieutenant General Sibia to Lieutenant General Sintumule regarding the handing over of the dockets.
And that's SDK 27 at page 241 of the bundle. And that letter requires that all the cases or projects relevant to the political killings task team should be, I think it was that it should be provided to or handed over to General Sintumule. Is that right?
Yes. The Divisional Commissioner Crime Intelligence and the Divisional Commissioner Detective Services, which is Jan Sintumule, we are both reporting to the same Deputy National Commissioner. Now, the first letter of the 17th is addressed to me, but it has got a lot of reference to the Divisional Commissioner Detective Services, but it's only addressed to me. So that is that is one of the reasons also one then did not attend to it over and above that, the process was continuing with the National Commissioner. Now, on the 4th, this one now is addressed to the Divisional Commissioner, Detective and Forensic Services alone, only, from the same supervisor, giving...
So you were not copied?
I became aware of it, but it was not addressed to my office, to me. The directives were for the addressee. But now, because the addressee, to comply with the instruction, had to liaise with me, that's why then I had to be aware of the correspondence.
Okay, so it's quite clear in paragraph 5 of this letter that it says, in compliance with the Minister's directive, you are directed to engage with the Divisional Commissioner of Crime Intelligence with a view to the proper handing over and to follow all processes necessary to conduct a handing over process. So this is from General Sibia to General Sintumule.
Yes.
So 17th of January is addressed to you. You hear nothing back.
Yeah.
And the next thing is this letter, which is that the handover must be done and that General Sintumule must engage with you. And then did she? Did she engage with you?
Yes, she did. She did engage with me, not even once. She did engage with me plenty of times, General Sintumule.
She engaged with you many times?
Yes, many times.
After this letter?
After this letter, with reference to paragraph 5 of the letter.
So when she engaged with you, she was asking you to hand over the dockets
Yes,
and
to comply with the instruction,
report.
because it's her who has been instructed. So mine is to take the dockets that I'm accounting for and give to her so as she can comply.
And did you?
Yes, I did. I did give the dockets to her.
When did you give it to her?
The date, it's supposed to be further down my affidavit. There were 2 dates when the dockets were handed over.
Was it after the meeting with the minister on the 27th of March or before?
Way after, around that time. I think the 28th, the first batch of dockets were handed over, and then
Okay.
the following month, the 3 remaining dockets, then I handed over to her.
And what's the explanation for the delay between 4 February to 28 March?
Firstly, there were lots of activities that were happening. Between the 4th of February 2025 and the 5th of March 2025, which talks to the whole month. So it was during that period when the Divisional Commissioner, Detectives and Forensic Services then was engaging me on the need of me handing over these dockets to her so as she can comply with the directives. And then on the 5th of March, that is when then on paragraph 156, there was another activity that talks to the political killing stars team.
Okay, and that was
the reference we're looking for is paragraph 171 on page 69.
Yes, the 28th of March was when it was handed, when dockets were handed over. That's correct. Thank you, Commissioner Khumalo. And that was after the meeting with the Minister on the 27th. And I was asking you why there was such a big delay between this and the 4th of February, between 28th of March and the 4th of February. And you said there were a lot of activities that were taking place in the interim.
Yes.
Right? And one of them is the 5th of March, appearing before the Portfolio Committee, where you made a presentation.
That is correct, Commissioner.
And that presentation is attached as SDK 29 in the bundle. And, you know, this presentation was prepared for the Portfolio Committee. Did you make the presentation to the Portfolio Committee?
Yes, Commissioner, I was in attendance of the Portfolio Committee and I did present the same presentation.
And what was the, there were, well, maybe let's just go to that paragraph. It's paragraph 156. And can you just read paragraph 156?
On the 5th of March 2025, I appeared before the Parliamentary Portfolio Committee on Police for a briefing on challenges relating to an instability of the Crime Intelligence Division, including the background on the investigation against Major General Khan, then 2, background and status of political killings task team, and then 3, details about KwaZulu-Natal Provincial Commissioner's interview during 2025 Police Day.
Okay,
that was in line with the invitation from the Portfolio Committee. 2 of the issues that were on the agenda were going to be presented by myself, and 1 was going to be presented by Provincial Commissioner Kaiser.
So you were requested by the committee to address these 3 topics?
These topics.
Well, okay, you and the Provincial Commissioner.
Yes.
Okay. So one of the topics, as we know, is on the PKTT. And can we go to paragraph 157 then?
Before you do that, Ms. Hassan, you moved a bit too fast for me. I didn't realize you had moved off this letter. General, that letter from General Sibia of the 4th of February, this is the letter to the Divisional Commissioner, Detective and Forensic Services. Now, the last paragraph, 7, at page 242, it says you are required to ensure, this is to General Sintumule, you say, you are required to ensure that this is done within 7 days after listing what it is that is required of him. It says you are to do this within 7 days, in also considering the content of the attached correspondence sent to the Divisional Commissioner, which you will also ensure that the closing report is submitted as per the directive of the National Commissioner. Now, this is the 4th of February. Had the National Commissioner issued a directive to General Sibia or to you or to anyone to submit a closing report?
No, thank you, Commissioner. No, this was the continuation of the anomaly that started from the 13th, 14th, 17th. So this was still the continuation where 2 conflicting processes were continuing.
Yes. And would General Sibia have been aware that you and the National Commissioner prepared and submitted that report of the 22nd of January to the Minister? Do you expect him, or do you know whether he was aware of it?
No, I won't know, Commissioner, other than to rely on the feedback that I got from the National Commissioner when I was asking for the way forward.
Yes.
That said, no, don't mind. I've told General Sibia to leave this thing to the two of us.
Okay.
So based on that, I'll take it that he was aware that the National Commissioner is dealing with this issue.
All right. And lastly, from your discussions with the National Commissioner, or in your discussions with the National Commissioner, did you inform him about this approach from General Sintumule to you?
The
National Commissioner, did you, now that...
with specific reference, Commissioner, to the letter dated the 17th.
The letter of the 17th, but also that General Sintumule has now spoken to you because of this latest letter from General Sibia. Well,
Yes, Commissioner, I was continuously updating the National Commissioner every time I receive a letter that is contrary to what we are doing. Then I'll report and share the letter with him.
okay. And do you know if he ever spoke to General Sibia about this parallel process?
I won't know, Commissioner, if he did speak.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you. Okay, so we are in March at the Portfolio Committee, and you'd been requested by the Portfolio Committee to address those three topics. One of the topics relates to the PKTT, and you made a presentation on the PKTT to the Portfolio Committee. Now, your presentation is here as SDK 29, and it's quite long, and we don't really need to go into the weeds on it. But as I understand it, it's in two parts. The first is on crime intelligence and the work of crime intelligence, and the second part deals with the PKTT. Is that right?
That's correct, Commissioner.
And if I can just turn then to page 273 of that presentation. That page explains the contents of the report that is to follow. And the headings, if you could just read out what the headings are.
The headings that were included in the briefing to the Portfolio Committee, the first one was the background of the political killings task team, followed by the funding and expenditure since inception. And then the third one, successes achieved. The fourth one, the current status of the political killings task team.
Okay. So, in this presentation, apart from the background and the update on the work, much of this has already been presented to the Commission by yourself and by General Mkunazi. There is a slide that deals with the budget. Just going to find it. It's page 277. And this slide talks, it sets out the, correct me if I'm wrong, but the expenditure of the PKTT from 2018, which would be July 2018, until February 2025. Is that correct?
That's correct, Commissioner.
And all of these, can you explain to the Commission where this information comes from and whether it was in line with the budget that had been approved for the PKTT? And can you confirm that there had been, that was my sub-question, that there had been budgets approved for the PKTT in each of these years?
Thank you, Commissioners. As I indicated earlier on, that towards the end of each and every financial year, each department that is involved in this project will then start looking at their financial authorities. So the South African Police Service will do the same. Hence, then there will be an application for both the approval for the extension as well as the budget thereof. So it will be in one approval. Hence, then all those applications, there is a signature of the CFO, the Chief Financial Officer, who must indicate the availability of the funds before the National Commissioner approves both the extension and the usage of those funds that are available. So the report on this specific day was prepared by the Chief Financial Officer's office and also presented by the CFO in the portfolio committee as she was in attendance. So it was the figures that are from the system that is managed by the CFO. Hence, then on the far right, we will see the figures of expenses. Then from the financial authority or the application, there will be an application for an estimated budget. But in this report, then what is reflected on the far right are the actual expenses for that particular period.
Thank you. Now, this goes up, General, up until February 2025. And I think from there onwards, what we have is in the exhibits bundle. And if we could look at the bundle, the file 1 of the exhibits. And if we could begin with CJC 18. You've got it?
Yes, Commissioner.
Okay, so CJC 18. As I understand it now, this is an information note that's prepared, a request for financial approval for the period 1st April to 30 June 2025. So,
Ms. Hassim, if we are going to be much longer, may we take an adjournment and resume at 4:15, please?
thank you, Chair.
Let's adjourn.
No, I was watching the time.
Sorry, so the correct one was put at the back of this bundle. I didn't want to take out stuff and replace it to not create confusion.
No, it's fine.
So,
I'll ask
so that
Suzanne
they
to replace
do.
them.
Okay, so we can still.
Okay, General, it's our last lap. We were dealing with the budget. And where we were was CJC 18. This was a request for financial approval for an extension for the period 1 April 2025 to 30 June 2025. Is that right?
That's correct, Commissioners.
And did you prepare this note?
Yes. Yes, I did.
And if we can just go to page 132. Actually, let's just take it for one step back. Let's just start with the first page. You begin this information note by explaining that this comes after the directive of the minister to disband.
That is correct.
So you then go on to explain why you're continuing to make this request. So perhaps you can just explain that with reference to paragraph 3 of the background. So, yeah.
Thank you, Commissioners. On the background, it's more of the events that took place from the 31st of December letter, which then we were using as a background because it was during that period of uncertainty. The financial authority and extension had expired on the 31st of March. Hence, then we prepared this one that was going to kickstart from the 1st of April. And the background now is changing. It is talking to the letter as it came on the 31st of December, various meetings that has taken place, and the winding down plan as approved or suggested by the National Commissioner that this is how he's going to handle the situation during that time. Hence, then we had to prepare the extension as well as the financial authority for a shorter period, which was the financial authority was for the whole financial year as it was prepared, which was going then to allow the winding down plan. That is what is mainly contained in the background.
So that explains why at paragraph 4 on page 127, you estimate the expenditure for 68 members. It's for a smaller number.
That is correct. The estimation there is for a smaller number that will see the dockets that are at court through.
And that estimation, if we look at the table, it says 68 SAPS members per month for 12 months. I understand that to be that's incorrect. It's not supposed to be for 12 months, right? It's for 2 months.
More especially, it's a typing error, more especially if we look at the first recommendation on the same page, which reads the approval for extension be granted for the duration of 3 months.
3 months, 1st April to 30 June.
Yes.
And so the budget that was requested here was about 9.9 million.
That's correct, Commissioner.
With that correction, General, the heading where it says estimated expenditure for the period, what then would that be for? Because as it stands now, it's for 12 months. What months are we looking at?
3 months.
From which period? From 1 April?
From 1st of April until 30th of June, Commissioner.
So as per the first bullet under recommendations, Commissioner Barwe. So the estimation was about 9.9 million for those 3 months. And then if we turn over, can you just explain then the notes of the CFO?
The CFO is indicating that, yes, the funds will be available as per discussion with the National Commissioner and per approved call-up instruction signed by the same National Commissioner. An amount for only 1 month is confirmed. The rest of the request for the funding beyond 1 month must be submitted as part of the budget input of the cost center if the project is to continue. So it's the same comment like we had seen in one of the recommendations by the CFO, where at the beginning of the financial year, she will allocate for the first few months, awaiting the final allocation of the budget. But the difference here is the drafter, the compiler, which is myself, was recommending 3 months based on experience that the final allocation of budgets takes the maximum of 3 months. Now, the discussion between the CFO and the National Commissioner overruled the 3 months and went to 1 month. So one can be of a view that maybe it was because of the uncertainty around the task team extension.
So the approval then was for 1 month.
That is correct.
And the National Commissioner's signature was on 7 April 2025. That explains then why there's a request, a second request that's made, and that's at page 130, and it's CJC 19. And that's, again, a request for financial approval for the period 1 May 2025 to 31 July. Is that right?
That's correct, Commissioners, for another 3 months.
And as with the previous request for approval that we just read, you set out the background to the request, and then you set out the amount that you are requesting at page 132.
Yes, Commissioners.
And here you estimate expenditure for the period 1 May 2025 to 31 July 2025 for this time 56 SAPS members. So is this in line, again, with the phasing out?
It is in line with the
down?
winding down, because the National Commissioner's proposal was, as the case is finalized, those that were dealing with the case will withdraw. And then that's why the numbers kept on going down.
And what was the budget you requested here?
It was 8.4 million, and then the funds that were made available by the CFO were 13.2 million. Reason being, if we look at the period it starts from the 1st of April. Her recommendation includes the month that we had the authority for already. They do that for their cost center policies, that if you have the financial authorities that are 1 month each, it makes their maybe work difficult. Hence, there was an approval of the April 1 month. But then when we apply for 3 months, then she recommends 4 months. It means she's reversing and starting from the 1st of April.
So that's the reason for the increase.
For the increase.
The increase, the 13.2.
Yes.
Instead of 8.4.
Yes.
And that was approved by the National Commissioner, is that correct?
That is correct, Commissioners.
And that takes you up until the 31st of July?
That's correct, Commissioner.
Then we come to CJC 20. And this is a request for financial approval for 1 August 2025 to 31 March 2026.
That is correct, Commissioners. Now, this one is for the remainder of the financial year, as the applications have been done in drips and drabs periodically. Now, this one is for the whole financial year.
So why is this one now for, the ones that were done earlier, you said, was because of the uncertainty, and so there were small extensions. Why is this one for a longer period?
Firstly, the budget allocations had been finalized, and then secondly, one being part of, as I've said, that this was the period where there were lots of factors affecting the decision making. So from the application of 3 months as it's a norm, whilst waiting for the final allocation of budget, then instead 1 month is approved. And then the next batch it's 4 months. Then this time around, if now we can link this with the other parts of my affidavit, it was after the long sought after reasons for the disbandment were starting to be clear, or they were clear that they are not genuine. So then the application can be now for the whole month as powers vested on the accounting officer to approve the budget of SAPS.
You say general allocations had been done as at this stage. Were these allocations done in accordance with the original PKTT numbers, or were they done in accordance with the numbers that were dwindling?
They were done in accordance with the last number that was dwindling.
Thank you.
So at this point in August, you felt emboldened to ask for financial approval for a longer period?
From the compiler's point of view,
Which is you?
yes, the commissioners, the reason behind that is the understanding of the finalization of the allocation process. Because that's what we have been doing all these years. The first few months, maximum of 3 of the financial year, you are given the provisional approval. Then after that, then there is allocation. Then you will get then the approval for the whole financial year. That is the official reason from my side as a drafter.
That's the official reason. Your official reason is then it's about the budget cycle.
Yes.
Okay. And you make the request then for 1 August 2025 to 31 March 2026.
Yes.
And can you just explain the table, the numbers and the amount requested? The number of members, so this is...
The number of members now, it's 56, and then with all those allocations, it gives the total of 31.1 million.
And that was signed, this was signed by General Mkhunazi.
Yes.
Not by you. The previous ones were signed by you.
Yes, the reason being, as the whole world know, that I've been arrested and removed from some of the responsibilities. Now, I could not sign off some of the things that were supposed to be signed by myself.
Okay. So
Hence, maybe to also include, hence then even the cost center as reflected there on page 136, because that will be very specific as to where the budget will be allocated to. Under recommendation number 2, the estimated budget of 31.1 million be approved and funded from the national budget, and such budget be managed at Provincial Commissioner KwaZulu-Natal. Because of my inability since the June or July, somewhere there, the arrest up to date.
Just to clarify, General, you haven't been suspended. You're not on suspension from work. Or are you? Maybe let me ask, have you been suspended?
I am not suspended, but I am not allowed to perform my duties.
All right, thank you.
okay, so that explains the signature then by General Mkhunazi. I also see that in the second bullet under recommendations that there's a reference to Annexure A and B. We don't have that. We don't have that in this bundle, but I think it would be important for us to get those annexures just to complete this set of documents. Would it be possible to get those?
Which one?
So it's the second bullet under recommendations on page 136.
The second bullet.
Yes.
Yes.
Estimated budget. And then the last line, as recommended by the CFO as per attached annexure A and B.
Yes, we can provide those annexures.
Thank you. Just to finish this off though, that was the request was for 31 million. Can we just complete this by referring to what the CFO then recommended?
Thank you, Commissioners. The estimated budget applied for was 31.1 million, and the CFO is availing plus minus 27 million. Reason being, that's why the CFO is explaining that the management of this budget should be such it is utilized up until the end of February 2025, which is a month before. Reason being that all the expenses during March will be accommodated for in the new financial year. So it's not a decrease on the estimated budget. It's a minus of 1 month expenditure, which is March the following year.
You said 2025, it's 2026, General.
Oh, apologies, Commissioners, 2026.
Thank you, Chair.
You also refer to the financial year. Am I mistaken that the government's financial year starts on the 1st of April each year?
That is correct, Commissioner. It starts on the 1st of April. But the reason why the Chief Financial Officer made such a comment is this plus minus 27 million budget can be utilized up until the expenditure of the end of February. Then for the last month of the financial year, which is March, will fall on the new financial year starting from the 1st of April 2026.
Thank you, General.
Perhaps I realize perhaps I should have completed my question just so that it doesn't remain hanging. General, when I asked you that you are not at work and you confirmed you are not on suspension, you said you are not allowed to do your work. What do you mean by that? Who doesn't allow? Is it the National Commissioner is not allowing you to do your work?
No, it is the bail condition.
Thank you.
And then, General, can you just finish with this document? So what the National Commissioner then noted.
The approval by the National Commissioner with comments as per CFO, as per CFO comments, I think.
So he approved it
He
in line?
approved in line with what the CFO have said above.
And the PKTT, therefore, is now operating under this financial approval?
Under this financial approval up until the end of March 2026.
Thank you.
Maybe, Chair, Commissioners, before I step off, because one is receiving lots of information as this process is moving on. The allegations or the information that talks to only the financial approvals granted is misleading, because if you look at our applications, they include both the application for extension. That's why on all of them there are two recommendations for the National Commissioner to approve the usage of the budget as availed by the CFO and also the extension. So the same document gives the approval of both the function and the budget thereof. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, General. So we started this discussion on the budget. It was an extension of what you had been presenting to Parliament on the 5th of March. So if we can just return now in our timeline back to 5 March 2025. I just want to ask you whether in this presentation to the Portfolio Committee, whether there were any concerns raised by the Portfolio Committee with the work of the PKTT that you'd presented.
Thank you, Commissioners. One, looking at the invitation and the agenda as provided by the Portfolio Committee, one will be of the view that it was informed by the current situation. Hence, it was talking to instability within Crime Intelligence Division because of misinformation that was spreading almost every day in the social and print media. And then on the other hand, the issue of the disbandment of the political killings came in to join during that discussion. So one is of the view that the Portfolio Committee deemed it fit for them to be briefed on these two burning issues. I choose to use burning issues because they were burning issues. And indeed, we prepared to the best of our ability from our side to cover the two areas, which is the instability within the division, giving the reason of each and every misinformation that is seen out there. And then on the other hand, also a detailed presentation on the political killings task team. The political killings task team briefing was not so difficult to prepare because we had not long ago prepared the 27-page document for the minister. Then it was a matter of updating and converting it into a presentation format that will be used to brief the Portfolio Committee. So after both the briefings, one, this is my view, one was expecting the burning discussion, as these were burning issues. But one then did not really get the burning. There were comments there and there, but not really burning discussions around the issues. One of the issues on the attachment is the one that talks to the story that was all over the social and print media of the division employing a 29-year-old girl, which then in the briefing, it was there with all evidence, with everything that was done. But one then also did not get it discussed there the way it's burning when it is discussed on the social and print media. Hence, then 2 months after that, we were still arrested and charged for the same thing that we had explained even to the Portfolio Committee. So my assessment will be the discussion was not as burning as the issues were discussed before we were invited.
Can I just make one comment on what you said, General Khumalo? A 29-year-old would not be a girl, but a woman.
But the headline?
No. You referred to the 29-year-old girl. I'm just saying a 29-year-old would not be a girl.
I was quoting the print media headline.
I'm glad to hear that. Okay, so that was the 5th of March, and then, as I understand, still on the 5th of March, you moved from the Portfolio Committee to a briefing with the Minister.
Yes, after the disbandment discussion was not as burning, within SAPS now by then it started to burn a day after presentation to the portfolio committee. Hence, then we received the invitation for a meeting in Cape Town for the 6th of March.
Oh, it was the 6th of March.
Yeah.
Just so that we track your statement as far as possible, we were at paragraph 157, and from there until paragraph 159, you deal with a correction you wanted to make to something that General Sabia said. I think you've covered it adequately in the statement. Unless there's something specific you wish to say in addition to what's here, could we just move on?
No, there is nothing else that I would like to add. I was just correcting that misquoting of the information that we presented on the 5th, that the team operating in silos was the then provincial team. It was not this team that was being disbanded, but in this affidavit, we are misquoted as if we are saying this team is working in silos. Thank you.
Thank you.
There's also, with that correction, there's also a part of this where you've quoted the very last paragraph. Do you want to correct that, or is that a correct representation of what you said? It says, due to the task team failing to deliver on their mandate, is it supposed to be you, or is this General Sibia providing an explanation why the minister disbanded, made the decision?
Thank you, Commissioner. This is the misinformation and misquoting by General Sibia in his affidavit.
Yes. In that he says you said this.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And you say you did not say that.
I did not say that.
Thank you.
I did say it in the briefing to the portfolio committee, but I was referring to the then provincial task team.
I understand. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's turn then to the next, to 6 March. That's on paragraph 160 of your statement. You say that in preparation for the meeting, you proposed a plan in line with the recommendations that were set out in the 27-page report.
Yes.
Right? And
Yes,
that's,
Commissioner.
okay, and that's attached as SDK 30 in your bundle. And this briefing on the 6th of March, as I understand it, and please correct me if I'm wrong, again says to the Minister much the same thing as what is contained in that 27-page report, including a plan for a gradual winding down. Is that right?
That is correct, Commissioners. We were guided by the invitation. The invitation was not saying, I need a briefing on PKTT. It was saying the meeting is about PKTT disbandment implementation. Hence, then the National Commissioner decided that we take the same process or information that was in the unsigned information note and we deduct it into a presentation in preparation for the meeting of the 6th of March in Cape Town.
So this is the first time that you refer to a disbandment plan?
Yes.
In your
Yes.
briefing on the 6th of
Yes.
March. And the plan is, you've reproduced it at page 66 in the table. The overall activities that would have to happen to implement that plan.
Yes, Commissioners.
And first row says approval of disbandment plan. as an activity, and the responsibility is a Minister of Police, and the due date is 6 March 2025. Can you explain that?
We had to prepare the disbandment plan correctly so with the activity, the responsible person and the due date for that activity, and then hence then this was included in the plan itself. But the plan, the presentation was in details explaining everything as it was explained in the unsigned information note of 22nd of January.
Can I just ask why the dates on page 66, paragraph 162, differ from the dates in the action plan on page 300 of the annexures bundle?
So, Commissioner, can you remind me of the page number?
Page 300.
Thank you.
And while you're there, General, that all of the dates differ, so you
Yes.
might want to explain this table.
Yeah, the explanation was going to be covered as I move on with this affidavit, but to explain, these dates were informed by the meeting date that as we meet on the 6th, we present, and then the minister approves on the 6th of March. Then, unfortunately, it was not approved. Instead, the meeting was rescheduled for the 27th of March. Hence, then the dates are moving now from the 6th to the 27th of March. So everything was going to be kick-started by the approval. If the approval is done on the 6th of March, then others are continuing. If the approval is done on the 27th of March, then other activities will continue.
Is that what you refer to in paragraph 164, the last sentence, maybe the second last on page 67? Sorry, Advocate Hassan.
No, no problem.
That is exactly what I'm referring to, Commissioners. The way I understood it was to mean then the absence of any agreement or approval on the way forward, there will be no movement of dockets or personnel because nothing is approved. The information note is not approved up to date. The proposed plan was not approved in Cape Town on the 6th. The amended proposed plan was not approved on the 27th of March. So up to date, there is nothing that is approved.
So just to be clear, the table then, the action plan table, is continuously updated because everything can only flow from the first item, which is an approval of the plan.
Yes, Commissioners, if I'm invited for the disbandment meeting tomorrow, I will change the date on the action plan and put tomorrow's date for approval. So it will keep on moving up until it's approved.
Now, who was present at this meeting?
The first meeting,
The meeting of the 6th.
Commissioners,
Before we, at 6th of March.
presence in the first meeting in Cape Town, it was the Minister, the National Commissioner, the Deputy National Commissioner Policing, Lieutenant General Musigidi, the Deputy National Commissioner Crime Detection, Lieutenant General Sibia, the Chief of Staff in the Office of the Minister of Police, Mr. Nkabinde, the Divisional Commissioner of Detective Services and Detectives and Forensic Services, Lieutenant General Sintumule, and a Lieutenant Colonel then from the team, and myself.
And in your statement, you say after you've presented this plan, the National Commissioner and the Deputy National Commissioner of Policing were in favour of the plan. And does that mean none of the others present were in favour?
That definitely means that because the plan was or is for the National Commissioner, it's his plan, the winding down plan, then he had to support it because it's his plan. And then the Deputy National Commissioner Policing did support the plan. I remember very well even her words, and one of the reasons, because she said, if we disband now, as the letter says, and we say all the members must go back to their respective stations, then a member from Cape Town, by the time he arrives in Cape Town, he gets the subpoena to go to Mtubatuba KZN to attend the court case. And then he comes back. By the time he arrives, then General Musigiri said that will be not so nice or good or possible for the members to continue with these cases whilst they are back to their stations of origin. So indeed,
It wouldn't be cost effective either, would it?
on top of that, not cost effective and dangerous and impossible. The whole idea of having coordinated work won't be there.
So you say that you mentioned particularly General Sibia and the Chief of Staff of the Minister as being against the plan, and they favoured immediate disbandment. Did they say why?
The main reason, because I was part of the meeting, then everybody, after I presented, especially if you are a presenter, you listen attentively when your audience is now asking questions, because you want to do whatever, to understand whatever input they are going to have. Hence, then I still recall most of the inputs that were made there. The main point that the Chief of Staff as well as the Deputy National Commissioner Crime Detection, they were against was in the plan, disbandment plan, not to show the immediate. In other words, they were against the whole plan because the plan has got the winding down thinking. But then they will one of them will even say, it means you are defying the instruction of the minister because the minister says disband now. So that was the main point. And also somewhere in the plan, we had referred to the dockets under investigations to remain with the political killings task team. You see? So they were against even the alphabet PKTT. It was supposed to not to be there, and then replace it with something else. And also the other issue was the destination of the dockets. The proposal was talking to the dockets moved to the provincial office, so as the provincial commissioner can decide and design the way he is going to continue with these dockets without much of the damage caused. But then the the points against us, these dockets must go back to their stations of origin, where they were picked from without being investigated.
General, was it proper for the Minister's Chief of Staff to participate in these discussions?
In my view, also looking at my experience, Commissioner, I will definitely say it was not proper. I've sat in meetings where the chiefs of staff are sitting. According to me, it was not proper because they don't normally take part in the decision or discussion that is there during that meeting. In most cases, they act as record keepers of the chairperson, who will be the minister, in terms of decisions and whatever other assistance or support function of the minister, not to be, because now, especially in the subject matter, it's the experts that are discussing this subject matter. And now there are no expertise of a chief of staff that are expected then to contribute in the point of discussion.
And what was the alternative name they were suggesting?
If my memory serves me well, instead of saying PKTT, it was just say investigators, so which will be open to any other investigator.
Thank you.
General, am I correct to describe, would I be correct rather, to describe the discussion, the plan about winding down as an operational matter and decision? How you're going to wind down and where dockets will go, does that fall in the category of operational decisions?
Thank you, Commissioner. It's pure operational. Maybe what makes it looks like administrative is the use of the term winding down. The proper and correct term or word that is used in an operational environment is demobilization. It took us 4 years to mobilize. Now, it cannot take you a day to demobilize what you mobilized for 4 years. So the winding down is also talking to that operational understanding, because you have to demobilize resources, which will take you at least half a time that took you to mobilize, if you are not having bad intentions.
Yes. And is it appropriate or regular for a chief of staff who's not a member of the policing environment as such, if I'm using the correct word, to have input into decisions that you describe as demobilizing, for example, a plan, how it's going to unroll? Is it appropriate? Is it regular?
I'll choose inappropriate, Commissioner, because the benefit of doubt one can give, because the Chief of Staff, we know and we are told that he is a former police officer. So maybe that might have contributed. I'll make an example. If the Chief of Staff was a former teacher, definitely the Chief of Staff won't be tempted even to comment, because the subject for discussion, it's something that has got to do with the support functions of the minister as well as any other administrative functions. It's pure operational.
Thank you.
But as I understand you, even if the Chief of Staff had experience in policing, it would still not be appropriate for the Chief of Staff, as Chief of Staff, to participate in a decision-making regarding operational matters.
That's exactly my view, commissioners. Hence, then I say maybe the Chief of Staff was overpowered by the police experience to think that, or to put down the cap of being a Chief of Staff and wear the cap of being my second in charge as the project manager of this operation.
Yeah, okay, we'll find out in due course whether you're being generous to him or not, General, with that explanation. Something else relating to this, when General Sibia and the Chief of Staff, as you say, they were arguing for immediate disbandment, did the Minister explain to them or differ with them about what he meant when he said the disbandment must happen immediately in his letter? Did he offer them any suggestions about what he meant?
As a chairperson, thank you, commissioners. As a chairperson, the minister listened to the presentation, the plan, and listened to the inputs. And then the parting words or the closing words as a chairperson were then go back and do the amendments as per the comments, and then deduct this presentation into an information note where I can sign on the rescheduled meeting of the 27th of March.
The short answer to my question is the Minister did not say to them what he meant when he says immediate.
That is correct.
Thank you.
Can you, I mean, there are two things I think that emerged from what you were saying in this paragraph. The one is the pushing back against something that is gradual, wanting the disbandment to happen immediately. But the second is that it was about the PKTT itself, that was the concern, that the longer it took, the longer the PKTT would be in existence. So that was the real nub of the objection, isn't that so?
Yeah, one can add that, as it's reflected also in my affidavit, that the winding down was going to prolong the lifespan of the PKTT. There are cases that will be at court for the next 4 or 5 years. So that will mean it will be maybe after the end of the term of the minister who disbanded, and then the disbandment will not have happened. I'm making an example. So the winding down plan had that as an issue, that it's not going to talk to the immediate.
Okay, thank you. So still on 164, just to complete this, on this meeting on the 6th of March, could you just read into the record the last few lines of that paragraph, starting from "there was no firm resolution"? It's paragraph 164. It's
from the beginning.
No. From the bottom up 5 lines. Just if you could read from where it says "there was no firm resolution."
Page 67, General.
Page 67.
On page 67, line?
Page 67, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 from the top.
Thank you, Commissioners. It reads thus: there was no firm resolution, and it was agreed that a further meeting will be convened on the 27th of March 2025. I understood this to mean that the absence of an agreement on the way forward, there will be no movement of the dockets or personnel. In other words, the PKTT will continue its work because there is still no approval of the proposed disbandment plan.
Okay. So 165 and 166 we've actually covered. It's here in the timeline. It relates to the rest of Mr. Madlanga. We can move past that. Let's go then straight to the 27th of March, when there was a follow-up meeting. Who was present at this meeting?
Then the 27th of March, as the Cape Town meeting was rescheduled to, in attendance was the Minister, the 2 Deputy Ministers, the National Commissioner, the Lieutenant General Sentumule of Detectives, the Deputy National Commissioner, General Sibia, myself, and a Lieutenant Colonel from the team.
Now, you say the 2 deputy ministers. Who are you talking about here?
It's Deputy Minister Bushielo and Deputy Minister Matale.
Okay, so they were present. Is this the first time that they became involved in this discussion? Or were they involved in discussions before this regarding the disbandment?
In terms of my records, this was the first time that they were part of this discussion.
And did you present again on the plan, on a disbandment plan at this meeting?
Yeah. Maybe let me start by reminding the commissioners that the resolution of Cape Town meeting was for us to deduct the presented draft plan with the inputs into an information note. So we had an idea that it's going to be a very short meeting. Even in my preparation, I was just prepared to point to the amendments to say on this slide, here there was PKTT. Now it's replaced by investigators.
General,
now, here,
General, I did not want to stop you mid-sentence, but that's the longest sentence I've ever had to listen to. Sorry to interrupt you. And on the 4th line...
And that's saying a lot when it comes to the General.
4th line, General, you referred to Lieutenant General Kumalo, and then Lieutenant Colonel and me. Is there another Lieutenant General Kumalo?
It's a typing error, Commissioner. There is one Lieutenant General Kumalo. It's me.
Thank you, thank you. Thanks, General.
In this process.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
So
sorry, I was asking the question, you were answering the question of whether you were presenting the revised disbandment plan to this meeting.
Yes, according to our understanding, attendees, the follow-up meeting was for us to point out on the changes made on the presentation and submit the information note format for approval. So when then we were about to start that presentation, and then the mistake, I call it a mistake for the lack of a better word, that happened is on the number of dockets, there was already a difference from one of the categories of the number of dockets between the 6th of March in Cape Town and the 27th of March, because the team was still operating. So there will be changes, especially on the part where you report the number and categories and status of dockets. Now, it happened then that the first slide was showing that different number, which then made the meeting not to continue as planned, because one had to try to explain why there is now a new number, and then the new number, according to us, was on the positive, because it was talking to a case that was previously under investigation. Now it was at court, but then we got then the comments that were suggesting that we do not want to stop the investigations because now there are different numbers, and then the discussion from there was around us not wanting, especially I'll refer to myself as the project leader, because I was named by the chairperson, the minister, as a person who does not want to disband the task team. And then the meeting did not continue.
Can I pause you for a second, just to be clear? So what caused the unhappiness was that your presentation had been updated to reflect the work that had been done on those cases.
Yes, most especially between the figures that we presented in Cape Town, yes, and the figures now that we are presenting in yes, Pretoria on the 27th.
You're referring to this type of
that is
report.
Correct.
So that's page 295. This comes from the 6 March presentation,
yes,
but you would have updated it for the 27th
For
of
the
March.
27th.
So it's not an entirely new table, it's just that the numbers have changed because work has been done on the dockets.
Yes, and according to my view, it was not supposed to be an issue because the main part was the disbandment plan. The progress on working, because we all knew that nothing has changed. The team is still working until the disbandment plan is approved. But now the non-issue became an issue, that because now there are changes in the numbers, then we could not then continue with the disbandment plan amendments.
General, apologies to you and also apologies to you, Ms. Hassim, for interrupting your flow. General, may I ask you to read paragraph 167 from line 7 and also paragraphs 168, 169 and 170 into the record, please.
Before you do that, Chair, with your permission, Ms. Hassim, you flashed a document, a colorful document, to the General to check if that's what he's referring to, I think for the record, and yes, you said page 295.
For the record,
is that SDK 30? Is that part?
Yes,
does that come from
March
SDK 30?
presentation.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
From where it says the minister seemed.
The minister seemed angry with me, General, from there all the way to paragraph 170.
Thank you, Chair. I'll read on record. On last part of paragraph 167, the minister seemed angry with me. At this point, the National Commissioner and I were still proposing that the disbandment should be implemented but if it was
Should not be.
should not be implemented, but if it was going to be implemented, that it be a gradual disbandment as proposed during the as proposed in the 6th March 2025 meeting. Paragraph 168, the minister simply would not listen to anyone. He criticized me for being in charge of the PKTT and crime intelligence and questioned why was the National Commissioner and I were so invested in keeping the PKTT. He was now completely against the gradual approach and reverted to the immediate disbandment. Paragraph 169. When the minister was reminded that the PKTT was initiated in part by the president, he said that we should not mention the president and mention that he was tired of hearing about the president. Then he said that the president was in agreement that the PKTT be disbanded. I was shocked by this revelation since the president was briefed about the work of the PKTT after it was deployed to assist in the Fort Hare University murder investigations.
170.
The minister also stated that it took a political decision to establish the PKTT. Therefore, it will take a political decision to disband it. The minister said that there will be no further meetings regarding this matter, and any further engagements will be held with the National Commissioner, and the meeting adjourned.
Thank you, General.
Thank you, Chair. Before we deal with what you say in 170, did anyone else speak in this meeting? Did anybody else weigh in and express a view on the disbandment?
It won't be easy to...
I mean, other than you and the National Commissioner who were proposing the plan.
No, it won't be easy to recall, commissioners. It was one of those meetings that one won't want to think about even when you're on retirement, because it was not a nice meeting, especially at the level where we are. We think we understand and we prepare, but then when you get to the meeting, So in terms of comments, and because this happened as I was starting with the briefing, so one was not really paying attention that much to whatever comments that will come from any other attendees.
So what was your response to the minister criticizing you for being in charge of the PKTT and crime intelligence?
It's a discussion that now and again will come from the same, I will say, individuals, which is not, according to me, necessary, because in the SAPS, especially as you move up the levels, you are expected then to have so many different roles that you play. And currently, I am the Divisional Commissioner of Crime Intelligence full-time, but then I'm also overseeing the political killings task team, not involved full-time like I was. There are commanders, there is everybody doing whatever that they need to do. But if, for instance, there is a need that there is a document that needs to be prepared for the principals, then the team will prepare and submit that document to me. So I'm only dealing with very high-level documents like the extension documents, which is once a year, and whatever other strategic issues that needs to be attended to. So that is the current situation.
And what is the substance of the criticism? Why is it being suggested that you cannot be the Divisional Commissioner for Intelligence and at the same time do work related to the PKTD? What's the substance of the criticism?
At first glance, Commissioner, thank you. At first glance, it would look like maybe not understanding what I was explaining. But then when you, because the other reason why the National Commissioner kept, maybe let me say, Commissioner, the two current interventions or task teams that are still in place were started and established by myself. The other one in 2017, I think the other one also in 2018 in Western Cape. But then, as I was appointed at other environments, then the National Commissioner decided that you are going to oversee this. Now I'm going back to the understanding, because the National Commissioner has got the understanding that the methodology itself, it's our doing. So it's not easy for any other person to be associated with the methodology. Not that it talks to doing the work, but it talks to overseeing, giving guidance where it's necessary, because the idea is to grow the understanding of the methodology.
General, before this meeting of the 27th and this criticism, had the minister spoken to you or indicated concerns about your being in charge of the PKTT and being in crime intelligence, the boss of crime intelligence? Had he recorded to you any concerns?
Not to me. That I've never been given an opportunity to engage. But in meetings where I'm part, it will come now and again, but not as a main point of discussion.
Is this in meetings with the minister?
Yes.
The minister being present in the meetings?
Yes.
Okay. And your immediate superior, General Sibia, has he formally raised any concerns with you about your dual roles?
Also, of late, maybe let me give it the timeline. This is the comment that started to be popular of late. Not because, if we may recall, my immediate supervisor recommending the extension done by me in March 2024. So I will say everything was rosy up until a particular time towards the end of the year, when then we start experiencing these comments also.
General Sibia.
Yes.
Thank you.
Sorry, General, you mentioned two other task teams. Are these task teams also national task teams?
They are multidisciplinary task teams of the police, SAPS.
And what are these other two that you're referring to?
The other one,
the names of the task teams.
the names, the other one has got a very ugly name, a Zulu name, Umgodi Wemvubu, which is in
Wemvubu. Wemvu, one?
Can you repeat it?
Umgodi wemvu.
Oh, I wanted to hear the
Yeah.
name, yeah.
Yeah, it is in the border of South Africa and Mozambique, dealing with the cross-border crimes, or more especially cross-border vehicle thefts or hijackings. And then it's another multidisciplinary project or task team with investigating officers, combat, LCRC, some of the expertise. Also, the other one is formerly Operation Thunder in Cape Town. That was later in 2018 changed to Operation Lockdown. That is still on.
Okay, so when was the first operation task team established? Operation Ngodi?
Yeah, in 2017, I don't have the specific month.
Okay. By you?
Yes,
And the second task team was also started by you?
in Western Cape, yes.
That's in the Western Cape?
Yes,
And when?
2018.
2018. And are they still in existence?
They are still in existence, the two task teams.
Okay, but these are not overseen by you?
Yes, I wanted to explain that, commissioners, that when I was introducing myself, more especially at the level of a brigadier, this was my line function to plan, coordinate, and implement national intervention operations, in short, task teams. So during those years, 2016, 2017, 2018, I was a brigadier doing exactly that. So that is why then I refer to them as established by myself, but they were established by myself as my line function by then.
Thanks. Okay, let's just move to, okay, so the meeting ended and it ended badly on the 27th.
Yes.
And so there was no approval of a plan or anything. Okay, and then 171, that's when you hand over the dockets to General Sentumule. How did that come about? Was it just upon a request from General Sentumule that you handed them over, and where were they? Where did you get did you ask for the dockets to be sent to you and then it was handed over to General Sentumule? How did it happen?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. The instruction from Lieutenant General Sibia to Johnson Tumule had come long time ago, I think beginning of March or February, if I'm not mistaken, and there were lots of activities and discussions and meetings that were happening. So the persistence from Lieutenant General Tumule was only more during the first month. But then from the 5th of March, these activities started. Then there was, then maybe also from her side, the hope that these meetings and activities will give light to that instruction. But then after the meeting or around the meeting of the 27th, then that is when then it's the persistence started again that I have this instruction to comply with. It's me who's in trouble, not you. You are not instructed. So for you is just to hand over the dockets to me and then I will be seen to have complied. That's exactly what I did. I am accounting for all the dockets allocated to the task team PKTT as a project manager, and then I had to formally hand over the accounting of those dockets under investigation to Lieutenant General Tumule as instructed by her Deputy National Commissioner General SB on the 28th and the 23rd.
And those letters, we don't need to go through them, but they're attached as SDK 31, the handover letters.
Yes.
And so to complete this, this part of the statement then, you did not inform General Mkunazi about this?
That is correct, Commissioners.
And so that's why you received a letter on the 22nd of May, paragraph 174 of your statement. You say you received a request from the Provincial Commissioner, KZN, inquiring about the whereabouts of the dockets.
That's correct, Commissioners. As a project manager, I'm accounting for each and every docket. Now, I take these 121, I hand them over to Lieutenant General Sintumul. And then during the accounting session, then chaired by the Provincial Commissioner, he is inquiring about the status of these dockets, and he gets the report that they were taken by me. Yeah.
Okay, so you assumed that he was aware. Is that why you didn't inform him?
Not that I assumed that he was aware. Firstly, it was not my place to inform, because the period, as I've said, it was the period of uncertainty, and then one would have thought that after the agreement of whatever way forward, then the National Commissioner is the one who's going to inform us all, because even myself, I needed to be informed. So all of us were waiting to be informed as to the way forward.
Okay. So the next section then of the statement is about the return of the dockets.
Do you mind just dealing with paragraph 172? It can just be read because it's something that will come up. Just read it, General, into the record.
Thank you, Commissioners. I will read on record paragraph 172. On the 16th of April, 2025, Brigadier Nkwashu, who is, let me read it as it is, on the 16th of April, 2025, Brigadier Nkwashu made an attempt to retrieve the criminal dockets pertaining to the case in which Mr. Katiso Mulife was charged during December 2024. According to Brigadier Nkwashu, this action was taken following a direct instruction from the Provincial Commissioner, who allegedly mandated that the docket be handed over immediately. The Brigadier further stated that failure to comply with this instruction will result in disciplinary actions being taken against the responsible parties. The circumstances surrounding this request, including its agency, raised suspicions. That paragraph is included in my affidavit as per the report received from the witnesses A, B, and C also included in their affidavit.
And then paragraph 170.
Just before that, Ms. Hassim, what do you mean, General, when you say that Brigadier Ngwashu attempted to retrieve Mr. Katiso Mulife's docket?
This paragraph...
My focus is on attempted to retrieve. Did he want that the docket should be given to him?
That's exactly what we mean. He was instructing that this docket be given to him. And then it was an attempt because we did not approve it. It did not happen.
Did you make any inquiries that the provincial commissioner had indeed given the instruction that Brigadier Ngwashu was referring to?
Commissioners, no, I did not. My approach in situations like this, if a very junior member that is reporting to me is giving me a request from another senior officer, my response will be, tell him to call me. So I said they must tell Brigadier Ngwashu to tell the provincial commissioner to call me, and it did not happen.
Thank you.
I think that this is linked to paragraph 173, and maybe it's quicker if you read the paragraph 173.
To read it on record,
Yes,
Senator
please.
Nsau. Paragraph 173. On the 22nd of April, Lieutenant General Sibiya sent a communication to Lieutenant General Sintumule stating that in compliance with the instruction of the Minister of Police issued on the 31st of December and subsequent directive on the matter, you are advised that the process should be finalized by Thursday, the 24th of April. This includes the transfer of all dockets closed, currently under investigation and in court, to the Division Detective and Forensic Services. A final feedback report on the finalization of this process, including confirmation that all task team members have reported back to their stations of origin, is awaited on or before Friday, the 25th of April 2025.
Now, this letter is attached as SDK 32, but I would like you to just explain the timing of this letter. It's 22nd April. It follows the request for this particular docket of Mr. Molefe. And the instruction is, you've underlined all dockets. Did that emphasis of all dockets, is that your emphasis, or was that General Sibiya's emphasis?
Thank you, Commissioners. It is my emphasis. One is depending also on timeline analysis or chain of events. There was a time in my testimony where I referred to a period between February, March and April when the investigation was at an advanced stage for us to continue with the second phase of takedown on GCI ops, and we were in and out of NPA offices discussing, trying to get our way. And then during this period, we see now the revived efforts that are talking to the dockets, more especially now the dockets of GCI ops. We have delivered on the dockets of PKTT. But still, now the approach is direct, that it's talking to the GCI Ops dockets. Hence, our view that the closure or the disbandment of PKTT was a mistaken identity, because the dockets are handed over. Then soon after that, there is direct now attempts through Brigadier Nkwashu. There is a letter now on the 22nd of April that now demands all the dockets, meaning others have been received, but there are those that are still outstanding. That is what informs then our mistaken identity of the closure of PKTT.
General, in that paragraph you say the letter of the 22nd was addressed to Lieutenant General Sintumule. But when you look at that letter, DSK 32, it seems to be addressed to you as well. Is it a mistake in the paragraph, or am I reading it wrong? So right at the top it says Divisional Commissioner, Crime Intelligence, and then in the second line it says Detective and Forensic Services.
Yes, Commissioners, then I will apologize for that typing error. The letter was addressed to both of us.
Okay, I think we understand that and what your explanation is and why the request for all dockets. And just to cut to the chase, is this because there were members of the PKTT in GCI Ops, and that hence the confusion?
Yes, Commissioners, the process, as I explained during my testimony, that as to how the GCI Ops came about, it came about with the combination of counterintelligence investigation and Gauteng organized crime investigation, assisted by the PKTT. So out of all these three environments that were involved in the GCI Ops, it's the PKTT that came out as a target to neutralize whatever that the GCI Ops was busy with.
General, how did you and General Sintumule respond to General Sibiya's letter of the 24th of April?
Thank you, Commissioner. My posture has never changed since the 7th of January. So one will say maybe that's why there will be an activity or a response if the letter is not addressed to me. So I will take it that the writer would have realized that for something to happen on my directive or instruction, I must address it to Lieutenant General Sintumule. So with this attempt on the letter addressed to both of us, my posture remained the same. No response, no nothing, no activity from my side. So the same posture from the 7th of January up until to date, maybe.
Or just for the record, I must correct myself. I said the letter of the 24th. It was the letter of the 22nd April. I think, the 24th was the deadline.
The deadline, yeah.
Thanks, Chair.
Yes, Ms. Asu.
Thank you, Chair. So now we go to the section of the 121 dockets return. Now, this section from page 70 until page 72 is going to be the subject of evidence of another witness still to appear before the Commission, a detailed presentation of the process of the return of the dockets, meaning the receipt of the dockets back with the PKTT. And that took place on the 27th and 28th of August, correct?
I confirm, Commissioners.
I don't think it is going to assist us to go in detail through this section because we are going to get more detail in near future, but do you confirm the contents of these paragraphs up until 184?
Thank you, Commissioners. I do confirm my involvement as on the previous part of my testimony, the handing over on those two dates, and then also now the return on the 27th and 28th, my involvement as a responsible person and accounting for the dockets, but the witness who was directly involved with the process itself will come and testify. But I confirm everything.
Thanks. Can I just ask you two questions about the dockets only? One, there was the accusation that the dockets were gathering dust at head office while they were there. But we do know that there was inspection of the dockets that took place and maybe other things. I mean, do you believe that it was gathering dust, those dockets? What is your response to that? What is going on with the dockets for the period of time it was at head office between March and August 2025?
In my view, thank you, Commissioners. In my view, sometimes the choice of weights will determine the response. Maybe in this case, the choice of gathering dust is the one that can give you the unexpected reaction. But from my point of view, I will say the usage of the weights that since the dockets were handed over by myself to Lieutenant Justin Tumule, there is no investigation activity that took place. The only thing that happened was the inspection of the docket, as it is the line function of each and every commander who is having the dockets under his or her custody to inspect the docket, which is not part of the investigation, because during the inspection, that's where you give instructions to the investigating officer to go and investigate in the form of doing A, B, and C. But maybe the choice of weights in the form of gathering dust might make one to also use the inspection as investigation, the inspection process as the investigation process.
Can I ask a yes or no question? During this 4-month period, did the investigating officers have access to the dockets?
They did not have access to the dockets.
Thank you. And then my second question is, okay, so the first is there was no investigation on the dockets while they were. The second is there's been criticism that there are dockets amongst those 121 where there had been little movement for a long period of time. Can you explain that? Is that correct? And do you have an explanation for that?
Thank you, Commissioners. That is very correct. Again, it depends as to who is saying it. My yes is because I know the reason. The reason is in line with the methodology employed by the task team, PKTT. One will see from the dockets that were inspected at head office during that time, there were lots of directives that were saying, take this for inquest, take this for the decision for undetected, take this. So the methodology of being successful at a normal traditional investigation environment is to close as much dockets as possible, which is totally different from the task team. In the task team, you will investigate the docket in phases, employing all the available investigative aids that are there. When you have exhausted all of them, you put that docket away. You don't take it for inquest process. You put it away, and then you go back to the threat and risk assessment, because this docket is coming from a particular area. Then, if there is a docket that is reported in that area, you will use the investigation of that docket with the hope that it will give you something that will resuscitate this investigation. Hence, then, we call our filing of those dockets a fridge, not a deep freezer, a fridge. A fridge is something that you open now and again, so as you don't forget. If there is a new case reported, before you analyze it, you go through the case that you have investigated and you have not yet have a breakthrough. So that will be correct for someone to say the last activity on this docket was in 2023, December. Now it's 2025. That might be the reason only.
Okay, so just to summarize what you're saying, the approach of the PKTT, if you hit a dead end on a docket, you've not been able to crack the case, so to speak, you don't close the docket. You keep it in the fridge, and you keep looking at it every time you have further information to see if you can make a breakthrough eventually. So you don't close it, you just keep it on ice for a while. Is that right?
That is correct, Commissioner.
And you say that is different from the traditional method?
Yes, Commissioner.
Okay. So those are my only questions on the dockets, General. As I said, we will be dealing with that in future in more detail. So the last section then of your statement starts on page 73, and it's what you describe as the retaliation against the PKTT. And in this section, you explain what you understand to be retaliation through several cases that have been brought against members of the PKTT. Are you able to summarize what you wish to say in this section for the Commission?
Thank you, Commissioners. I will indeed summarize this by just pointing to the fact that after the realization that PKTT was a mistaken identity in blocking the GCI Ops investigations, then one realized that during December, the first objective of the opposition, I'll say so, was to deal with the project leader. Hence, there were lots of activities that were talking to the arrest of the project leader. Evidence has been led, and I've referred to quite number of examples. Even the team, PKTT, most of the cases, if not all, they were registered in December 2024, the busiest month. So the closure of PKTT that happened on the 31st of March of December 24, according to our analysis, was the second attempt. The first attempt was to arrest and disrupt the activities that are continuing, and then came the disbandment. So there are lots of cases that has been indicated as part of evidence. One of them is the case that the 7 of us from the Division Crime Intelligence are facing, to relate this case with retaliation is, when we deal with projects, there will be a National Executive Committee of Intelligence that is dealing with that project, and no one else is allowed or is supposed to know and do anything about the project. So the accused on this case that were arrested on the 26th of June is the whole National Executive Committee of GCI Ops. Now, fast forward to the condition that one has not seen much, maybe I must add much, not at all, to say you're on bail, but you are not suspended, but don't go to work. One is associating that with the main purpose of, because going to work, it means you are going to continue working on the GCI Ops. So you are not allowed to go to work to do your work. You can do something else, but not the work. So I'll point only on that point when I try to summarize these cases, especially the one that I'm not supposed even to talk that much on it, because I have interest, or I'm part of it. Then the other cases we have referred to during my testimony, the attempts we saw from the WhatsApp chats, the attempts to open cases through IPID. We saw another case of false information about the Rolex watch. So there's been lots of cases, and the 3 cases that were opened around Orlando against the team, and another one, the kidnapping, opened and registered as a victim by one of the targets from our side that we have been referring to, a ballistic expert. So with all those, the common denominator of information is there is a coordinated effort of destabilizing the GCI Ops by then opening these fake cases against the team management and members as part of retaliation.
The one question I had, sorry, is paragraph 190.4. What does that case in the Eastern Cape have to do with the PKTT or activities of the GCI Ops or Molefe and Madlanga cases. So how is it linked to any attempt to disrupt what you are doing in relation to those cases?
Thank you, Commissioner. When we were requested or instructed to intervene in the University of Fort Hare, we sent the best of PKTT. So when we had to get the support from PKTT in the GCI Ops, we took the same best. So we rediverted the same best from Eastern Cape to Gauteng. Now, the activities that happened in the Eastern Cape will always then have something that can assist someone who wants to come up with false charges against the members of the PKTT stroke GCI Ops.
Sorry, let me understand this. You're saying the secondment in November 2024 to Gauteng, you also took people from the Eastern Cape?
Yes, Commissioner.
General, let me take you to paragraph 186. And that's the paragraph concerning the appointment of Brigadier Mokwele, who used to work for BMW before her appointment. Am I correct that she was appointed directly from BMW
That is
to be a brigadier in subs?
That is correct, Commissioner.
What were the advertised requirements for the position?
We were looking for the head of our technical support services. Without detailing it that much, so as we don't expose our covert methodologies, but it's a person, firstly, who's qualified in mechatronics, a person who can combine both mechanical engineering and electronical engineering to suit our covert activities needs. So those people are normally found then in these environments like BMW or Ford, or because they are doing both electronical and mechanical engineering, or qualified, and they have experience.
Was she based at the manufacturing plant, not at a dealership?
I cannot be able to be quite sure in terms of the separation, but what I know is she was a supervisor of technicians that are doing mechanical and electronic work in the manufacturing part of the car.
So do you say that she met the advertised requirements?
According to us as the panel that recommended her as candidate number one, she did meet all the requirements.
Thank you, General.
General, I had a question on this, which is the appointment was made from someone outside of the SAPS into the SAPS, and the appointee was given the status of a brigadier, which is, as I understand it from the rankings, fairly senior. And would it be, can you explain how somebody from outside of the police service with no experience in policing would be brought into the service and given a fairly senior rank from the outset?
Yes. No, thank you, Commissioners. I won't be long on that. I'll first refer to my response when the Commissioner asked as to what were we looking for? We were looking for a qualified mechatronics person, not a police officer like me. My experience and qualifications were irrelevant to the post. So we first advertised the post internally, and then the process moved on until the panel by then could not find a suitable candidate, which is a policy within SAPS. And then that panel recommended for the post to be advertised externally, so as then we can get people that are qualified for the work that for the person that you are looking for. That's how then, once the post is externally advertised, it's not only limited to brigadiers and generals. There are posts that are advertised on newspapers of a qualified Reverend Muruti. And those people then, because we are not Barutis, police officers, then a Muruti who's qualified and registered with a particular Baruti organization then will apply and qualify, come in and be given that rank that was advertised. So in the police, it's not something that does not happen. We have a lot of senior officers that came in from the level of a brigadier. Some, they came in from a level of a major general. Not, or maybe let me make one example, the living example. The current divisional commissioner at the level of a lieutenant general, who is a lieutenant general, is from the National Treasurer Department. 2 years ago, was appointed by SAPS as a divisional commissioner, who is a lieutenant general. It's another fresh example that we can see, because SAPS was looking for particular qualifications and experience that SAPS could not find within SAPS.
So the Lieutenant General you are referring to had no policing background whatsoever?
Not at all. He was, I think, after 2 years of being employed, he was then sent to a basic police training, which is normally not for like a full period, because you are called a lateral entry level and you are a senior officer. So you will just go there and get the basics, so as you are able to know how to salute.
So this post was advertised at the level of a brigadier?
Of a brigadier, yes.
General, just one question about the bail issue. Your bail condition is that you may not go to the office. Do your bail conditions prohibit you from speaking to members of the intelligence division, of crime intelligence?
I was hoping that
I'm not asking you to explain in full. I'm not asking you to give an explanation. I just want to know whether your bail conditions include that you may not speak to employees.
No, it does not, Commissioner. Talk to speaking.
Yes.
The only condition is we must not go to our offices to do our crime intelligence work.
Yes.
We can do whatever other work as long as it's not crime intelligence.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Okay, General, please, can I take you to page 77?
Please. Yes.
And I think that Let me do this now. Okay. Sorry, Commissioners. You will recall yesterday there was a request for CJC 32.1, which is proof of ownership of a particular vehicle. May I please hand it up for the record? It's fine. Thank you, Chair. All right, so page 77, this is what I propose should happen now. I think you should read, this is your conclusion. Can I ask you to read into the record paragraphs 192 to 194, which is your conclusion?
Thank you, Commissioners. In conclusion, from paragraph 192, reading it on record, it is clear that up until the operations conducted on the 6th of December, neither the Minister of Police, the Minister Mchunu, nor Lieutenant General Sibiya expressed any concern on issues with the functioning and existence of PKTT. There was no indication of dissatisfaction or objection regarding the team's activities or mandate. However, following these events of the 6th of December, there has been a marked and coordinated effort to dismantle PKTT, seemingly without any consideration of the ongoing investigations, active court proceedings, or adherence to established legal requirements. This abrupt change instead suggests that actions taken by the PKT during the 6th of December operations triggered a targeted campaign to undermine and ultimately disband the team, regardless of the broader implications for justice and the due process.
General, before 31 December 2024, were you aware of any attempts to disband the PKTT?
I was never aware of any attempt or any complaint, Commissioner.
Now, I want you to explain the connection that you make between the final disbandment and the events of the 6th December 2024. You say following the events of the 6th December 2024, there has been a marked and coordinated effort to dismantle the PKTT. That, to me, suggests that from that date onwards, up to the date of the actual disbandment, there was a lot happening leading towards or suggesting that there would be a disbandment. Can you please explain that?
Thank you, Commissioner. I had prepared it in a timeline analysis format showing the dates, so as when I narrate, it talks to the question by the Commissioner. The 6th of December came up with 3 issues that are still making headlines. It was the execution of warrant of arrest against Katiso Mulifi, of which we have done it more than 1 time now within this short period. And secondly, the search and questioning of Madlanga. And the other point that we did not discuss that much during my testimony is the issue of the 360,000 tender, which was there all along, but it only came out of wherever it was because of the operation of the 6th. One will take it because it was a tender, not a criminal activity. It was known somewhere, but it was not talked about. Then the operation on the 6th gave that opportunity for the tender issue also to come in the open to the public. It came through the court submissions by Madlanga on the 17th of December. And then, because we have active media, then the media then took it up until the minister called the meeting on the 24th of December for that reason, to say, hey, what's happening with this tender that is now all over the show, and it's also associated with the Tembisa Hospital fraud and corruption investigations. So that's what was also brought in by the 6th of December. So from where we are sitting, now looking at all the evidence that we have led, starting from the 6th of December, making an example on both operations, I said yesterday the minister's name is dropped because indeed by that time we looked at it as name dropping on the 6th of December. Now, the activities of from the 6th of December, going in and out of courts, cases open, sometimes against us, sometimes there is an attempt using IP. They refuse with. So the appearance of the political killings task team in the picture from the 6th makes us to be of this strong view that if the PKTT did not feature in the happenings or the events, rolling them from the 6th of December, we were not going to see a lot of activities targeting PKTT, either in the form of cases or attempted false cases against anyone who has got to do with the PKTT. That is what makes us draw that inference.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, General.
Okay, so it's 193. Can you take it from 193?
Alongside the attack on the PKTT, its members have also been targeted with criminal cases, something that I've explained right now. Although these cases may eventually be dismissed, but in the present moment, they serve to distract the team members and they affect their reputation in the eyes of the public. I've made an example even of us as the NEC of the GCI Ops. How difficult is it to continue with our oversight function of such a delicate project?
You left out intimidate. In the present moment, they serve to distract, intimidate
the team members and their reputation in the eyes of the public. Thank you, Chair. The cumulative effect of these actions has been to create an atmosphere of uncertainty and apprehension, making it increasingly difficult for the PKTT members to carry out their duties effectively. Such tactics not only undermines the morale, but also it erodes public trust in the integrity and the purpose of the team. Last paragraph 194, I, Samuel Dumisani Kumalo, hope this statement goes a long way in assisting the Commission with the facts related to the disbandment of PKTT and provides a clear factual account of the events and motivations behind the team's disbandment. My intention is to ensure that the Commission is fully informed of the circumstances so that the truth may prevail and that the critical work of the PKTT is properly understood and considered.
Thank you, General. That brings us to the end of your evidence. I have a qualifier to that because it brings us to the end of your evidence for today. But I expect and I hope you agree, General, that you will return for further questioning at a later stage before the Commission, as there will be other questions to pose to you, particularly as other witnesses appear before the Commission.
I will always be available, Commissioners.
Thank you.
General, thank you very much for enduring sitting there and testifying longer than all the other witnesses before you. Thank you very much. Ms. Hassim, tomorrow 9:30?
Tomorrow 9:30, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's adjourn and resume at 9:30 tomorrow.